Fine. Good morning, everyone. I am Disha Roshan Bhakta, Assistant Professor, Department of Information Technology, Bansangas SMCT College of Science, Commerce and Management Studies, Powai. So, yes, students, today we are going to see about nature of environment into our subject artificial intelligence. Okay. So, I think in our previous sessions, okay, we have talked a bit about environment and we have also seen that how environment plays an important role when we talk about intelligent agents. Okay, so this nature of environment is nothing but we can talk about it as a subset of intelligent agents that we have already started understanding. So what we saw in our previous session was that agent is nothing but someone who is going to continuously interact with the environment and receive certain information from the environment, maybe using sensors and give certain output to the environment also using the actuators. So in today's session, our focus will be more on environment. As in our previous session, our focus was more on agent, on how exactly the agent looks like, what were the types of agent. But today, in today's session, the focus will be more on environment. Okay. So yes, students, we can start. Okay. Also, I think in our previous session, we also saw about that how PEAS is going to play an important role when we talked about any agent. Okay, so if we describe PEAS, okay, so PEAS was nothing but probably it was performance measure, then environment, then actuators, and then sensors. So that was basically PEAS. And then in PES, what we saw was that how environment is also one integral part of it. So the focus would be more on that part. Okay, so let's understand what's task environment. Okay, so environment can be also termed as task environment. Fine, students. Okay. So environment plays an important role. Agent and environment works with each other. These environment has certain characteristics and these characteristics will help the agent to understand the environment and can decide on the performance measure of its own self. So here what we are trying to say is that environment do play a very important role when it comes to the working of agent also, because as agent has to continuously sense everything from the environment, whether the agent will be able to give its performance measure or not will also depend a lot onto the environment. As in, let's say if the agent is not able to interpret the environment, uh, which simply means it is not able to understand the percepts. And if the agent is not able to understand the percepts, then how the agent will map these percepts to the output. So in turn, the whole process of giving the output also back to the environment will fail. And in that case, if it fails, then the performance measure of the agent is going to also fail. So that's why environment plays a very important role, or uh, maybe being more clear, the agent should also have an understanding of the environment, maybe priorly, or maybe certain things should be a part of agent which could help the agent to understand the environment. So that's where environment is going to play an important role, and that's what task environment is. Now these task environment, why we are saying task environment is that because certain tasks are performed over there, inputs is being taken from there. Okay, then output is being given over there. So these environment has certain characteristics, and these characteristics, once an agent know that the environment in which the agent is working has these characteristics, then the agent can understand. And also with the help of what environment the agent is going to work in, it can be decided that how well the agent is going to work. So yes, when we'll see different types of environment and how agent is also continuously linked with that environment, we can better understand this concept. One more thing, students, we have to understand over here is that agent and environment are continuously going to work each other. So even when we are understanding about the environment, the parallel understanding will go about with respect to agent also. Okay, so environment itself independently is not going to again have any existence. Okay, so how agent perception is going over there is also going to play a very, very important role. Fine. So now we are moving ahead with the characteristics of environment, or you can call it as nature of environment, or maybe it might be known as types of environment in which the agents can work. Okay, fine. So let's start with the first one: fully observable versus partially observable. So the very first type of environment which could be faced by agent would be fully observable or partially observable. So now let's look at what is the difference. So task environment is fully observable if sensors can detect all the aspects, which can help in turn to take the relevant action, which means if the agent is working in an environment and if the sensors of the agent are able to detect each and every information from the environment, of course, which is relevant to the agent only. There will be multiple information in the environment, but not necessary that the agent should have to perceive all the information. But yes, whatever aspects are required for the agent, and if the agent can perceive or can detect all those information from the environment, of course using sensors, then in that case the environment would be known as fully observable. I think the word also is very clear: fully observable. The agent can fully observe the environment. So yes, this is the very, very, very first characteristic of an environment, that an environment could be fully observable environment. Next, task environment is partially observable if the environment is noisy or the sensors are inaccurate to detect the correct inputs. So now we term partially observable in two ways. Again, the very first aspect is just with respect to environment. Let's say if the environment itself is very noisy, okay, so in that case it could be a possibility that the environment maybe contains lot of other mixtures of information, and the sensors are not able to detect the things. Also, it might also happen that the sensors which are attached to the agent are inaccurate. Okay, so that is another situation when the task environment will be partially observable. So either the environment itself is not good enough, having let's say multiple things. Let's say a very simple scenario over there is that yesterday we talked about vacuum cleaner agent. Okay, so what we saw is that there would be dirt, and then it has to suck up. So that is what is there. But what if the floor is completely wet, okay, with lots and lots of water, okay, and the sensors are not there are no sensors to detect that thing. Okay, the sensors are there just to detect the location and the content, and in the content they are aware about that there has to be some solid particles, and which something like that has to be picked up. So over here what will happen, the environment is noisy. Okay, also in sensors nothing like this is fed which can detect this thing. So in both of these situation, okay, the task environment will be said to be partially observable. Now, one more scenario over there comes is if the agent has no sensors at all, then the environment is unobservable. So what again we're trying to tell over here, that though the parameters in the environment will be clear, but let's say if agent has nothing, okay, to detect that input from the environment, then in that case the environment is known as unobservable. Okay, there are multiple examples, okay, which can come into this category also. So when we'll go ahead into our sessions and we'll discuss multiple examples, we can understand how fully observable and partially observable becomes a part of environment for an agent. Yeah, chances are very less that the agent has no sensors. So over here, probably, due to certain circumstances, if the sensors has stopped working itself, then yes, the environment will become unobservable. So yes, that is the very first type or a characteristic of an environment. It could be, fully observable or partially observable. If the agent can detect each and every aspect of the environment, if it can perceive each and every information from the environment, then yes, the task environment is fully observable. And if the agent can perceive only limited information from the environment, maybe due to the noise into the environment, or maybe due to some inaccuracy into the sensors, in that case the perception might be not up to the mark. And if the perception is not up to the mark, it is not possible even to give the actions up to the mark. So in that case, the task environment will be termed as partially observable. Okay, so that's what the first type of environment was, that is fully versus partially. Fine, students, let's go ahead. Yes. Now, single agent environment versus multi agent environment. Okay, again, these are again a type of environment only, or a nature of environment only. So but as again I told you that agent and environment are continuously going to coherent work with each other. So when we are talking about uh, environment also, we have to parallelly talk about agent, because that togetherness will define what exactly the working is. So now, an agent working by itself is known to be working in single agent task environment. So let's say if in an environment there is an agent and it has no dependency on another agent, and it has to work on its own self. Okay, now see students, when we talk about over here agent, okay, that agent could be a human agent also, that agent could be another agent which is maybe robotic on its own self, or a software agent. So what we're trying to tell over here, that if there is an environment and only one agent is working over there, okay, then that environment would be termed as single agent task environment. So now, if there is an agent which we have made considering a gaming application of artificial intelligence, an agent is made which can solve a crossword puzzle by itself. Okay, so there is one agent, there is no dependency on anyone else. Okay, the work entitled to the agent is, or the performance measure of that agent is that agent has to solve the crossword puzzle. Okay, so yes, it will start on its own. Okay, and it will work on its own, and maybe the end result performance measure would be that the crossword puzzle is solved. Okay, so yes, this is a scenario wherein we'll call it that the task environment is single agent based. Now let's go to the other aspect. Okay, so if two or more agents are working in the task environment, is said to be multi-task environment, or maybe multi-agent task environment. Fine. So an agent playing chess in two agent environment, wherein the two agents, let's say, could both be the software agents, or it may also be possible one agent could be a software agent, and the other agent could be a human agent also. But what we see over here is that in this scenario there are two or more agents working. Now this concept of single and multi agent. Okay, so once it is decided that whether it is single or multi agent, again we'll move ahead, and then another kind of characteristic of environment comes into the existence. Okay, yeah, so we are going to see about that what the other characteristic will come once it is decided whether the task environment is single agent or multi agent. Okay, so let's go ahead. Fine. Yes, now competitive versus cooperative multi-agent. So as I just told you, that once we come to know that whether we are in single agent or multi-agent environment, and let's say if we are in multi-agent environment, it again, makes us to think about what could be the next characteristic if the agent is multi-environment. If the scenario is of a single agent, okay, there are no again more hierarchies over there. But if it is multi-agent, then again certain more features of environment are there which has to be understandable by the agent. Okay, so which are they? So that is competitive versus cooperative. Okay, so here when we are talking about these characteristic of environment, competitive versus cooperative, it is very clear that we are talking about a multi-agent task scenario. Okay, and if there is multi-agent task scenario, then only we talk about competitive or cooperative feature of the environment. So let's say these feature will not be useful to the agent if the agent is working in a single agent scenario. But yes, if the agent is working in a multi-agent scenario, then it also has to identify then that whether I am in a competitive task environment mode or I am in a cooperative task environment mode. Okay, so yes students, let's see that. So in multi-agent task environment scenarios, if two agents are competitive in nature for their own performance measure, then it is known as competitive multi-agent environment. So now, as we already know, we have seen in PEASPs that what do performance measure means, okay? So every agent will have their performance measure, which will actually decide whether the agent is working, up to the expectation or not. So let's say that the agent one has certain performance measure. Let's say it has to win the game if it is a gaming agent or something like that. And if it is working in a competitive multi-agent scenario, then it will always be in a competitive mode with the another agent, and it will always have to look upon that yes, whatever performance measure was decided for that agent should always be fulfilled. So here the example comes like chess agent works in competitive multi-agent environment. Okay, so if we talk about a chess agent, okay, the scenario for a chess agent will always be competitive because it always wants to win, because that is what it is, the performance measure of the chess agent is that. And in that case, all the actions, basically now the most important part comes over here. All the actions which has to be taken by multi agent, okay, has to be thought in competitive mode with respect to another agent. So that is very 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 important over here. Okay, so that's what basically we mean to say that it is working in a competitive multi-agent environment. Fine. Now considering the multi-agent scenario again. Okay, but if the agent is working into, let's say, a cooperative way, okay, wherein there are again multiple agents into the environment, but then the agents let's say actions will not be just to increase its own task performance. Okay, the agent's action would be such that that other agents task performance also gets sufficed, or maybe it is in a process to help even the other agents which are there into the environment. Then that kind of scenario is known as cooperative multi-agent. So if the agent is working in a scenario where it takes care of other agents, and also then the task environment is said to be cooperative multi-agent environment. So a scenario wherein an agent is working and it takes care about the other agents also, then that task environment is said to be cooperative. So let's take an example over here. I think this example we have seen in our previous session about taxi driving agent. So it tries to avoid collisions with other agents and thereby helping every agent to sustain their performance. So students, if we have seen yesterday, the very first performance measure of a taxi driving agent was being safe. Okay, and after that fast was there. Okay, and so what we try to tell over here that the taxi driving agent could not work such that okay, it has to just complete its journey in these minutes no matter whatever happens on the road. Okay, so that could not be the case. So it has to go ahead in such a way that even it has to take care of other agents, and thereby ultimately what happens is they all work in cooperation with each other. At times and they cannot fulfill their performance measure of being fast, yes, but the most important thing for all of them is to perform into a safe environment, and thereby all the agents they try to help each other to have these aspects into the environment. And yes, these kind of situation would be termed as cooperative multi-agent task environment. Yes, so students, this was about basically competitive and cooperative. And again, these task environment will be important only if the scenario is of a multi-agent environment. Okay, so we saw about fully observable and partially observable. We saw about single agent and multi-agent, and then we saw about competitive and cooperative. Fine, let's go ahead. Now, the next characteristic of environment would be deterministic versus stochastic. Okay, so what exactly it is? Again, if the agent can completely determine the action given the current percept, then the environment is known as deterministic environment. Okay, so which simply means that if all the whatever action the agent has to take, and it simply again the important word over here is it just simply depends upon the current percept. Okay, which means when we talk about deterministic environment, okay, the percept sequence or maybe um, multiple information from the environment is not making a big role. Just the current percept is there, and if the agent knows what action has to be performed, then that environment is known as deterministic. Whereas if the environment is random in nature, then it becomes difficult for the agent to decide the action. In that case, the environment will be known as stochastic or non-deterministic environment, which means if the percepts that are being received from the environment are random in nature. So let's try to understand what do we mean by deterministic. So let's say there is a whole lot of percepts which is already being fed into the agent, and the agent is continuously working, and the agent is very well able to understand that okay, if this is the percept, which means the input, okay, this is the action which I have to take. So that is something very well defined, very well understood. And what is happening is that when the agent is actually working also, and when the agent is receiving percept, it is already well known to the agent, because it might is already feed into the system, or maybe historically the agent is aware of that, yes, if this is the percept, the action is to be like that. So what here we are trying to say is that the environment is always you know uh, throwing an input to an agent which is determined by the agent. Now, if the environment starts to throw something to the agent which is random in nature, which means, let's say, 2 days back, agent received certain information. Okay, the agent also have a good knowledge base, but then what information is coming today is, let's say, completely different. Okay, so if the information received from the environment just keeps on changing and changing and changing, and there is no pattern also to it. It's not that. Certain on this period this type of information is coming, or situation like that, then in that case the environment will completely become non-deterministic. So again, deterministic, I think it's very clear where we all can understand. Okay, so if we talk about a chessboard, it is going to be deterministic. Why it is going to be deterministic? Because it's not going to change. We are completely aware of that, okay, these are the squares available on the chessboard, and that's how it is. But again, in stochastic or non-deterministic, we can again take an example, students, of taxi driving agent. Why? Because let's say if a taxi driving agent starts the journey today from location A to location B, okay, and tomorrow the taxi driving agent is going to go from location D to, let's say, location X. In both the scenarios, the environment is going to be completely random or non-deterministic for that agent. So the what decision has to be taken? So it's not that it's not possible. The point here is that is then the agent, then the algorithms for that agent, and then the working of that agent will be completely different as compared to the other one. So yes, deterministic, we are trying to say that the things are determined, the percepts can be well understood, and then accordingly the actions could be taken. But whereas if the environment continuously starts throwing certain percepts which are random in nature, let's say tomorrow the percepts was something else and today something else. For a taxi driving agent, it might happen that yesterday there was a lot of traffic, and today there are no traffic but a lot of pedestrians. Let's say today, because of certain reasons, some rally is going on. So yesterday what he saw on the agent saw on the road, that there was not a single pedestrian, and today lots of pedestrians are there. So basically, that's what a stochastic is, or that's what non-deterministic is, okay, for the agent. Yes, students. So that's what about deterministic versus stochastic. Again, very, very, very important feature of environment, and very important for an agent also, because on the basis of this, how the agent has to work and how it has to understand the percepts and act upon will be completely different if the agent is working in a deterministic environment mode and if the agent is working in a non-deterministic environment mode, okay, or a stochastic environment mode. Fine. Now again, episodic versus sequential, okay. So yeah, this is again a very, very, very important nature of environment, okay, which is very relevant for an agent to understand its working. Now episodic, in episodic environment, the agent's action depend just on the current percepts. So students, if you remember in the previous section, okay, we have gone through the concept of something known as percept sequence. Now, what was percept sequence? So that we noted down that percept sequence will be nothing but, let's say, history of percepts with the which the agent has got, and depending on that, it becomes very easy for the agent to take the next consecutive action. So basically, when we talk about percept sequence, we told that it depends not just only on the percept but the percept sequence also. But yes, when we say that the agent's environment is episodic in nature, okay, in that case the agent will not have to think about the previous percepts which it has received, okay. Now what will be that kind of scenario, okay. So let's look an example and understand. So let's say there is an agent who has to detect the defective parts, okay, in an assembly line, which means that the agent is trained that it has to, just sense all the parts which are passing to the assembly line, and then take a decision whether this part is defective or not. So the agent will scan through certain characteristics which are already fed into it, that okay, the part should look like this, okay. And then this is something very the very normal thing, okay. Most of the manufacturing units will be already having this. Taking a very simple example, so let's say about there is an industry of about making chocolates or something like that, and the packaging and everything is done, and what happens is finally they pass to the assembly lines, okay. And it might have happened that certain packages might have opened, or not proper, or maybe the shape and size would be different than what is expected. So many examples, probably students come over here. Point over here is that the agent work is to identify what is defective, and take a decision, and you maybe pick out that thing, okay. So maybe remove that thing from the assembly line, okay, because it is defective in nature. Now what happens is, let's say in these assembly line, multiple parts are passing, okay. And what has happened, the first part was okay, the second was okay, and the third part was defective, okay. So what the agent has done, the agent has sensed it, and the agent has performed an output to it, okay. What was the output? Maybe removing that part from the assembly line and putting it somewhere else, putting it into some another section. Now, this was the current percept for the agent, and it has taken an out, and it has taken an output also. Now, what is happening? The fourth part is coming. So, for fourth part, there has to be a new percept and there has to be a new output. Okay, it is irrelevant for the agent what has happened to part one, part two, and part three to take a decision on part four. Okay, so let's say because the part three was defective, does not at all mean that the part 4 is going to be defective, or no matter. Anyhow, the history of percepts will help to decide what is going to be further, okay. It might happen that continuously 30 parts may come defective, and then afterwards continuously 500 parts may come which are well also. So there is nothing, nothing like percept history is going to play a role over here, that something like that has happened, and so depending on that the agent is going to take certain decision. So these kind of environment would be termed as, episodic environment, wherein only the current percept is going to play an important role, and the percept sequence or the percept history is not going to play an important role at all. Going forward, okay, as in compared to this, the next environment is sequential, wherein it's completely opposite to episodic, wherein the previous history are actually very 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 important, and the agent will have storage about all the past actions, which it has taken. So every past action is going to help to take what is the next move that the agent has to take. Okay, so chess playing agent, taxi driving agent, wherein every past percept, okay, every past percept which it has received, okay, it's going to help to take what this next decision it has taken. So let's say chess playing agent, I think very well understood. Okay, so what was the current move, what was the previous moves by the agent, by the opponent agent, is going to help in an important role for an agent to move ahead. Taxi driving agent also, okay, let's say it has to go from location A to location B, what all have come into the movement from going from location A to location B is going to be absolutely important. All the previous percepts are going to play an absolutely important role when it has to take certain decisions. Okay, so that's nothing but sequential environment, wherein so again, if you can see over here, if we come to know that whether it is episodic or sequential, again the whole thought process regarding making that agent would be completely different. So that's what was the next kind of task environment, episodic and sequential. Okay, the next one is static and dynamic. Okay, so when you talk about static, so what exactly it is? Okay, so I'll will not say, static and dynamic is almost similar to deterministic stochastic, but yes, there are certain similarities between deterministic and stochastic, and what we call it is static and dynamic. So what we say in a static environment mode is that in the environment which is static, the knowledge data sources doesn't change frequently, and the actions are taken on the basis of the data sources already available. So basically, when we tell that the environment is static, then whatever information is there from the environment, whatever, let's say, percepts and output which we have to take, with the agent has to take from the environment, are already defined into the agent, and there are very negligible chances that these information could change. Okay, in most of the scenarios, this information will remain the same. So the knowledge data sources, of course these data sources will be available with the agent, they almost remain the same, they don't have to change frequently. And that's why it becomes very easy for an agent to understand what action it has to take. Okay, because these things are already fitted into the system, everything is static, everything is known. Whereas in compared to this, if the data sources change frequently and to take an action continuously, the new perception of the environment has to be considered. Then that scenario is a dynamic task environment. Okay, so in turn, it wants to say that the environment is stochastic. It is non-deterministic because every time certain new information is coming from the environment. Okay, so that's why basically, if the environment is deterministic, in most of the cases it would be static also, and if the environment is non-deterministic or stochastic, in most of the cases it will be dynamic also. So that's the next kind of a task environment, which will again understand how the agent's behavior should be, and how agent could work into a static or a dynamic task environment mode. Fine. The next one is discrete versus continuous. So if the environment has finite number of distinct states, then it is said to be discrete task environment. Again, the word is discrete, but what it simply wants to say, that the number of possibilities, when we say distinct states, which means the number of possibilities of input and output is fixed. Okay, it's not infinite. So let's say if we talk about chess playing agent, or let's say even if we talk about let's say an agent which is solving a crossword puzzle, so all the states would be finite. Okay, wherein if the task environment has rapidly changing and unknown states, then it is known as a continuous task environment. So over here, the example would be more of a taxi driving agent, okay, wherein the task environments are completely, the states of the environment are completely changing, and that is nothing but a continuous task environment. So when the states are finite, okay, so again, if we could see over here, it's somewhere or the other relates to maybe deterministic and static characteristics. So probably if there is something deterministic, static, then in a much more sense, you know, it will be discrete also. And if there is something which is non-deterministic, or let's say stochastic, and then dynamic, then yes, in a situation it will be continuous also. So that is the next characteristic: discrete versus continuous. Okay. Next is known versus unknown. So now, known and unknown is not exactly characteristic of environment, but it is actually something. After percepting everything from the environment, what would be the behavior of an agent? Whether the agent will know what to do, or whether the agent will not know what to do. So let's say if the agent is able to perform an action and there is knowledge base stored for all the possible actions, it is said to be known environment for the agent. So after having all these characteristics of environment, okay, and after working in an environment which might be, you know, observable, fully observable or partially observable, or single or multi, or competitive or cooperative, or deterministic or stochastic, or episodic or sequential, or static and dynamic, and discrete and continuous. Of course, it can be a combination of multiple things also. Finally, the agent will be in a situation whether it got enough input from the environment that it could take action depending on the knowledge base. Yes, if this is the scenario, if this is the possibility for the agent, then it will be known as known. So it might also happen, students, that the environment was non-deterministic, okay, but still the knowledge base in the agent was quite enough, which helped the agent, you know, to take an action. Then in that case, it will be known environment for the agent. If the agent needs to learn on how to select and perform an action, then it is said to be an unknown environment for the agent. So let's see, if the agent is not able to directly select an action from the knowledge base, and it has to learn, it has to think, it has to apply certain different logic, and then it has to figure it out what action need to be performed, then that category and then that kind of environment will be unknown for the agent. So that's what about, you know, was known and unknown. If we see today, okay, we understood about fully observable and partially observable. Then we saw about, you know, single agent and multi agent. Then we saw about competitive and cooperative. Then we saw about deterministic and stochastic, episodic and sequential, static dynamic, discrete continuous, and known unknown. Okay. So now knowing now all these kinds of environment, and also knowing what we saw yesterday about PEAS. Okay, yesterday I think in previous session we discussed multiple examples. The examples of the agent were, I think, interactive English tutor, then maybe medical diagnosis system, then I think we saw about part picking robot. Then we saw about how a taxi driving agent has a PEAS. So now what we would be doing ahead is that we would be taking more examples of the agents, and then we would understand the first thing is that what could be the agent for the environment. So let's say taking an example of a chess agent. So chess agent, will it be into fully observable or partially observable, single or multi, competitive or cooperative, deterministic or stochastic, episodic or sequential? So if it is deterministic or stochastic, we could directly, you know, come to know static, dynamic, and discrete continuous, and finally we can come to know known and unknown. So that's how for every agent there is a need, first of all, to identify that in which type of environment, in which task environment the agent is playing, the agent is having its role, and then depending on that it becomes easy for on how to go about you know, making that agent. So once that environment is known to us, then it becomes easy to understand that agent also. So yes, students, that was there, and the next session is going to uh, contain details about, okay, the examples of all the different types of agent, and in which environment they are playing their role. And also there will be again a discussion on PEAS, because as we are already taking examples of agents and environment, we will again discuss their PEAS also. Okay, so yes, that's what was for today. Thank you, students. Thank you all. Thank you.